That's sad. That's sad. So this dude been clout chasing since he tried to tell the geisha black girl, tried to tell her that me and him was a thing. Back then, I checked him back then. So when I realized that his page got all this stuff about me on his page, I hit him and said, hey, yo, delete me off your page.
What looked like an ordinary live stream quickly turned into something far bigger. Claressa Shields went live with an intensity that was impossible to ignore. From her first words, the frustration was obvious, as if she was responding to something that had been building for hours. She defended her legacy, praised her accomplishments, and claimed she was operating on a level far above everyone else. At first, her confidence sounded convincing, but the timing raised eyebrows. Just hours earlier, Alicia Baumgardner had earned another victory, while the boxing community was focused on concern for Shadasia Green after a serious in-ring incident. Yet instead of joining those conversations, Shields appeared locked into a personal battle of her own. As she continued speaking, the energy shifted. What began as a powerful defense slowly revealed cracks, leaving viewers questioning not only her message, but also what had truly sparked the emotional outburst. Sometimes the loudest statements reveal far more than the speaker ever intended. While the boxing world was split between celebration and concern, Claressa Shields chose that exact moment to go live, and immediately people started asking the same question: why now? As the stream continued, one detail became impossible to ignore. She never acknowledged a single fighter. No congratulations, no support, not even a brief mention. Instead, her focus seemed fixed on something far more personal. The longer she spoke, the clearer it became that this wasn't really about boxing. There was another story beneath the surface. Her comments hinted at someone specific, yet she never fully said the name. That mystery only pulled viewers in deeper. Who was the target of all this frustration? It wasn't Alicia Baumgardner. It wasn't Shadasia Green. It wasn't Katie Taylor or Amanda Serrano either. None of them were connected to the moment. Still, Shields spoke as if she were under attack, defending herself in a battle nobody could fully see. That's when everything changed. The atmosphere shifted from confident to uncomfortable. Viewers stopped listening for what she was saying and started searching for what she wasn't saying. And sometimes the loudest drama isn't found in the names spoken out loud. It's hidden in the ones left unsaid. The turning point wasn't what Claressa Shields said, it was how people reacted. As comments flooded in, viewers began noticing inconsistencies, and the atmosphere shifted almost instantly. What began as a bold, self-assured live stream slowly transformed into something far more chaotic. The confidence was still there, but now it felt strained. Then came a claim that caught everyone's attention. Shields spoke about her dominance and referenced 20 years of this, but many viewers quickly realized the timeline didn't match her professional career. The questions started rolling in. They weren't harsh, but they created pressure, and pressure has a way of exposing cracks. Rather than clarifying her point, she doubled down. Her delivery became more intense, her pace quicker, and her responses sharper. What once sounded like a champion defending her legacy now felt like someone battling growing doubt. The live stream stopped feeling controlled and started feeling unpredictable. Then came an unexpected moment. In the middle of everything, she began searching for a bottle of wine. At first, it seemed harmless. But when she couldn't find a corkscrew and grew visibly frustrated while digging through drawers, the contrast was striking. Here was a world champion known for discipline and composure, suddenly caught in a moment that felt unusually human. And sometimes it's those small, unscripted moments that reveal the biggest cracks in the image people work hardest to protect. A single awkward moment changed the entire mood of the live stream. What looked like a harmless struggle quickly exposed something deeper. The polished image of an unbeatable, fully composed champion began to clash with what viewers were watching in real time. The longer the stream continued, the more noticeable that disconnect became. Then another detail grabbed attention, a smoke detector repeatedly chirping in the background. At first, it seemed insignificant, but as the sound kept cutting through the conversation, it became impossible to ignore. There she was talking about success, money, and being at the top of the game, while that constant beep kept interrupting the moment. It was a tiny detail, yet it spoke volumes. Viewers started putting the pieces together. If everything was going so well, why did the atmosphere feel so chaotic? If everything was under control, why did the stream seem to be unraveling? Suddenly, the focus shifted away from her words and toward the bigger picture unfolding on screen. This was no longer just a champion defending her reputation. It felt personal. It felt emotional. And it felt like something much bigger was bubbling beneath the surface. As the live stream rolled on, the pressure only intensified, and what started as a simple defense was rapidly turning into a moment nobody saw coming. Sometimes the smallest cracks reveal the biggest truths. The pressure kept rising, and it was impossible to miss. Every expression, every response, every shift in her voice suggested that the situation was slipping further from her grasp. The longer she spoke, the clearer it became that this wasn't really about boxing at all. Then the puzzle pieces started falling into place. The target of her frustration wasn't another fighter standing across the ring. It was someone completely outside the sport. She never fully said the name, but she didn't have to. Remy Ma was the person many viewers immediately connected to the conversation. Once that realization hit, the entire live stream suddenly looked different. The anger, the emotion, the defensive tone, it no longer felt tied to competition. It felt personal. What started as a discussion about status and accomplishments quickly transformed into a public display of a much deeper conflict. This wasn't champion versus champion. It was emotion versus control. She repeatedly pointed to her undefeated record, but by then, viewers had shifted their focus. They were paying attention to what she avoided, what she hinted at, and what seemed left unsaid. As comparisons involving Alicia Baumgardner, Caroline Dubois, and Francine Cruz-Dezern entered the discussion, questions followed. The numbers, performances, and activity levels didn't always align perfectly with the picture she was painting. The inconsistencies weren't massive, but they were enough to spark skepticism. And once uncertainty enters the conversation, it rarely stays small. Sometimes a narrative doesn't collapse from one big moment. It unravels when people start connecting the dots for themselves. The cracks were becoming impossible to hide. What once looked like confidence now felt more like damage control. Claressa Shields shifted her attention to other fighters, labeling some of them amateurs, but viewers quickly spotted the problem. Those were many of the same names she had recently challenged and expressed interest in fighting. The contradictions stood out immediately. As the live stream continued, the mixed messages kept piling up. One moment she was presenting herself as the unstoppable champion on top of the sport. The next, she seemed caught up in situations she couldn't fully manage. That contrast became harder to ignore. Meanwhile, the personal drama never stayed far away. Mentions of New York, frequent trips, ongoing rumors, and a complicated connection all lingered beneath the surface. She never explained everything directly, but she didn't have to. The audience was already putting the pieces together on its own. Then came the moment that changed the mood completely. Shields made a comment about smacking people, and it immediately grabbed attention for the wrong reasons. The remark felt out of place, and viewers took notice. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about boxing anymore. It was about emotion, perception, and a narrative slipping out of control. Because once people start questioning the story, every word becomes part of the evidence. One statement flipped the entire live stream on its head. Up until that point, it had been controversial, but now it felt serious. Viewers stopped watching as casual spectators and started analyzing every detail. Clips were being saved, reactions were pouring in, and every word was suddenly under a microscope. The pressure became visible almost instantly. The bold, aggressive energy that opened the stream began to fade. Small pauses appeared. Her delivery slowed. It looked as though she was realizing the conversation had taken a direction she never intended. But by then, the damage was already done. The internet moves fast, and moments like these don't disappear. As the live stream continued, the mood shifted dramatically. The confidence that once drove the conversation was replaced by a more cautious tone. She seemed increasingly aware that viewers weren't seeing things the way she expected. Yet no amount of hesitation could change what had already happened. The clips were circulating, the opinions were forming, and the audience had taken control of the narrative. What started as another live stream was turning into something much bigger, a moment people would revisit long after it ended. Because once a public moment escapes your control, it no longer belongs to you. It belongs to everyone watching. This wasn't planned. This wasn't controlled. This wasn't the image she usually presents. And that's what made it powerful, because for once, it didn't feel like a performance. It felt real. But real moments come with consequences. And those consequences don't disappear overnight. Now, every time her name comes up, this moment follows. Every interview, every fight announcement, every appearance, this live stream is part of the story now. Because in trying to defend herself, she did something unexpected. She revealed more than she protected. And sometimes the biggest battles aren't in the ring. They're the ones you don't prepare for. The ones where emotions take over. The ones where there's no bell to save you. In the end, this wasn't about winning or losing. It was about control. And for those, she lost it. And once the world saw that there was no going